In the heart of Detroit, Michigan, the roar of factories changed the sound of America. The 1960s were not just years of progress, they were the years when speed became a symbol of freedom. Pontiac launched the GTO in 1964. It was not just another car, it was raw fire on wheels. Chevrolet followed with the Chevelle SS. Dodge entered with the Charger. Ford stepped in with the Mustang, a car that rewrote the culture of American roads. In states like Ohio, Texas, and California, these cars exploded into the streets. Drag strips filled with smoke. Small towns heard the thunder of engines at midnight. America was alive with horsepower. The demand was unstoppable. Workers in Detroit could hardly keep up with orders. Cars rolled off the line, shipped across the nation. From New York to Los Angeles, young drivers wanted the thrill of muscle. The GTO, the Camaro, the Challenger, and the Roadrunner were not just names. They were weapons. The competition grew wild. Every year, companies fought to add more horsepower, more speed, more control. But under the surface, the storm was building. America was changing fast. The same power that made muscle cars icons would soon become their biggest enemy. Gas prices were low, highways were open, and the future looked bright. But no empire rises without conflict. And this empire of muscle was about to face its greatest test. The 1970s arrived, and with it, chaos. Oil prices shot through the roof. Gas stations in New York, California, and Illinois ran dry. Long lines stretched for blocks. Americans who once loved their big engines now feared the cost of filling them. The muscle cars built for raw power drank fuel like water. Suddenly, the dream turned into a burden. Insurance companies struck next. Young drivers, once the heartbeat of the muscle era, now faced impossible costs. Premiums soared for high-powered cars. Parents told their kids to stay away from danger machines. Politicians in Washington stepped in with strict rules. Emission laws cut down horsepower. Speed was no longer celebrated. It was punished. One by one, the giants fell. The Dodge Charger Daytona disappeared. The AMC Javelin lost its place. Even icons like the Pontiac GTO and Oldsmobile 442 struggled to survive. In Detroit, factories slowed. In Texas, drag strips went quiet. On Route 66, once filled with the roar of freedom, silence took over. America had turned against the empire it built. But even as the market shifted, something deeper remained. In garages across Ohio, barns in Kansas, and fields in Nevada, the legends sat covered in dust, hidden from the world, waiting for their moment to roar again. By the 1980s, muscle cars were no longer kings of the road. Imports from Japan and efficient cars from Europe took over. America's love affair with horsepower was fading, or so it seemed. In small towns and secret garages, the forgotten legend survived. The Plymouth Roadrunner, once the scream of youth, rusted under tops and barns. The Chevrolet Chevelle SS, once the fear of rivals, gathered dust in forgotten lots. The Oldsmobile 442, once a champion of drag strips, sat silently in a sea of orange. These machines were too powerful to be erased, but too costly to return. For years, they became ghosts of an empire. But ghosts have a way of returning. Car clubs in California and Florida began to restore them. Collectors scoured barns across the Midwest. Engines that had been silent for decades roared again. The legends came back, not as daily drivers, but as icons of history. They became treasures, symbols of a time when American roads were battlefields of horsepower, and enthusiasts kept the stories alive. Fathers told their sons about the day they first saw a Mustang Shelby on the street. Grandfathers spoke of drag races on hot summer nights. These stories built an empire. The forgotten cars had built more than just speed. They built culture, identity, pride, and soon their influence would spark a rebirth. Today, the legacy is impossible to ignore. The Dodge Challenger Hellcat roars with more than 700 horsepower. The Ford Mustang Shelby pushes limits once thought impossible. The Chevrolet Camaro still strikes fear into rivals. These modern beasts are not accidents. They are the direct children of the forgotten muscle cars. Detroit rebuilt its pride. Highways once again echoed with thunder. Car meets in Los Angeles, drag strips in Texas, and rallies in Florida reminded America of its roots. The empire of muscle was not dead, it had only been sleeping. The forgotten cars gave rise to a culture of speed, rebellion, and pride that never left. They built an empire that modern America still stands on. Every modern muscle car carries their DNA. Every roar is a tribute to the forgotten machines. The Pontiac GTO, the Chevelle SS, the Roadrunner, the Charger, Daytona, and the Javelin may be gone from showrooms, but they're not gone from America's soul. They were the foundation. They were the spark. They were the empire builders. And when their engines roar again on American highways, the world remembers. The forgotten muscle cars of America never truly died. They built an empire, and their roar still shakes the ground.